My name is Sandra Hairston, and I'm 29 years old. The text came in at 9:17 a.m., right as I was pretending to care about a spreadsheet that had absolutely nothing to do with my actual life problems. You're not spontaneous. You never surprise me anymore. I stared at the screen longer than I probably should have. Not because it hurt, I was already numb to that line, but because of how familiar it felt. Like a rerun I never asked Netflix to keep recommending. I typed back one word. True. 3 dots appeared immediately. That's it, just true. See, this is exactly what I mean. No emotion. No effort to change. Maybe we need to rethink this relationship if you can't bring excitement into my life. I didn't reply. Instead, I logged into my phone carrier account. My boyfriend's line was right there glowing softly on the screen, exactly where it had been for the past 2 years. I remembered the day I added it. He was sitting on the couch, stressed, explaining how he couldn't afford his own plan yet because he was investing in his brand. Just temporary, he'd said, until things take off. Things never took off. What did take off was my bank balance in the wrong direction. I clicked remove line. Selected immediate termination. Confirmed. The email arrived at 2:47 p.m. At 2:52, my work phone, the one he doesn't have the number to, started vibrating nonstop. Unknown numbers. Group texts. Missed calls. Sandra, is this you? His phone just died mid-story. He was literally posting about how boring you are. I turned my work phone off. When I got home at 6, he was sitting on the couch with our tablet, his face, red eyes, wild, vibrating with fury. You canceled my phone. Spontaneously. I set my bag down calmly. You said you wanted surprises. That's not spontaneous, he snapped. That's vindictive. You said I never do anything without planning, I replied. This was completely unplanned. I saw your text, felt inspired, went with the moment. My work is on that phone, he shouted. My Instagram, my contacts, everything. Your Instagram still exists, I said evenly. You just need a phone plan to access it. I can't afford a phone plan, he said like it was my fault. That sounds like a great opportunity for spontaneous problem solving. He stood up shaking. This is abusive. You can't just cut off my communication. I didn't, I said. You have Wi-Fi, a tablet, a laptop. I just stopped paying for your cell service. That's financial abuse. No, I corrected. Financial abuse would be preventing you from getting your own plan. You're free to go to any carrier right now. They're open until 8. With what money? I tilted my head. The money from your influencer work. Silence. We both knew the last sponsored post he'd landed paid $50 3 months ago for a teeth whitening kit. I'm calling my mom, he said finally. On what I asked. The realization hit him slowly, painfully. That moment, that exact look, was the surprise I'd been accused of never giving. And I hadn't even planned it. He didn't sleep that night. I know because neither did I, and every time I shifted in bed, he shifted too, sighing loudly, tapping on the tablet screen, pacing the apartment like a caged animal who couldn't figure out where the door had gone. Around 3 in the morning, he finally stormed out, mumbling something about needing air, then came back 10 minutes later because he remembered he couldn't order a ride without a phone. By morning, the narrative had already changed. I woke up to him standing in the kitchen, arms crossed, face carefully composed, in a way that told me he'd been rehearsing. This wasn't rage anymore. This was strategy. I talked to my friends, he said. They all agree this is controlling behavior. I poured myself coffee unbothered. Your friends don't pay your bills. You isolated me, he continued. You cut off my ability to communicate. Do you have any idea how dangerous that is? I took a sip, let the silence stretch just long enough to make him uncomfortable. You're standing in a kitchen with Wi-Fi, a tablet, and a laptop. If that's isolation, the rest of the world must be in solitary confinement. He opened his mouth to respond, but the doorbell rang. 7 a.m. That's when I knew this wasn't over. It was escalating. When I opened the door, his mother was standing there with her purse clutched tightly against her chest, eyes sharp, jaw set. She didn't say hello. She didn't ask how I was. She walked straight past me into the apartment like she owned it. How dare you, she said, spinning around to face me. How dare you isolate my son and cut him off from the world? He appeared behind her instantly. Shoulders slumped, eyes downcast. The performance was impressive. Emmy-worthy even. He's been building his career, she continued, and you punish him for that. I leaned against the counter, calm to the point of being unsettling. He isolated himself when he decided my predictability was only a problem emotionally, not financially. That's not what he told me, she snapped. I'm sure it isn't. She turned to him. How long has she been paying for your phone? He hesitated, a fraction of a second too long. Since last year, he said. I smiled gently. 2 years. Premium unlimited data, 50 gigs a month. Her head snapped toward him. You told me she was covering a basic plan. Well, I added it's hard to build an influencer brand on 2 gigs. The silence that followed was thick and deeply satisfying. Then she straightened, clearly regrouping. Fine, I'll add him to my plan. Relief flooded his face until she added, but my plan only has 2 gigs. His expression collapsed. Mom, that's not enough. I need at least 50. She blinked. 50? That's like $200 a month, I said casually. I've been paying that. She turned to him slowly. You said she barely helped you. He didn't answer. That was the moment the story cracked. But instead of backing down, he doubled down. By noon, he was on the tablet crafting a dramatic Instagram story about financial abuse and controlling behavior, carefully angling the camera to catch his good side. Soft lighting, courtesy of the ring light I bought him last Christmas. He tagged every serious hashtag he could think of, the kind designed to make people stop reading critically and start reacting emotionally. What he forgot, and this was my favorite part, was that I still followed his secondary account, the one he used to test engagement before posting publicly. He uploaded the same story there first, captioned, Testing Engagement. Which angle gets more sympathy abuse or empowerment? I screenshotted immediately. His main post started gaining traction fast. Comments poured in, supportive at first, then curious. Why can't you afford a basic phone plan if this is your job? He replied, it's not about the money, it's about the principle. Someone answered, the principle of paying your own bills. That's when things turned. By evening, his best friend called me on my actual phone, the one I pay for myself. You need to fix this, she said without greeting. Fix what? He's spiraling. He can't work without his phone. McDonald's is hiring, I said. They'll give him a headset. That's not funny. What brand deals is he losing, I asked. Name one. Silence. He's been in talks, she finally said. He's been in talks since I met him, I replied. I'm done subsidizing the fantasy. You're going to regret this when he leaves you. He already threatened that yesterday, I said calmly, before I canceled the phone. She hung up. That night, he tried to log into Netflix. I downgraded the plan. My screen. One screen. Currently streaming from my office during a late work session. He sat on the couch, watching my show, Buffer, on the tablet. This is petty, he yelled. This is spontaneous, I corrected. I'm unpredictably changing our services based on my mood. Isn't it exciting? He threw a pillow at me. I caught it. Predictable, I said. He stormed into the bedroom I paid rent for, and slammed the door. And for the first time in years, I slept peacefully. By the 3rd day, desperation had replaced anger. He woke up with a new personality, determined, righteous, almost cheerful in a brittle way that made my skin crawl. The kind of energy people get right before they make terrible decisions and convince themselves it's growth. I'm taking control of my life, he announced while aggressively stirring instant oatmeal. I'm getting a real job. I looked up from my laptop. That's great. And I meant it. I really did. Because for the first time since we'd met, the fantasy was being forced to confront reality. His mother was thrilled, proud even. She helped him update his resume, suggested marketing roles, junior social media positions, anything that sounded adjacent to the identity he'd been claiming for years. He applied everywhere on the tablet, on the laptop, hunched over cafe Wi-Fi because I'd changed the password before leaving for work, spontaneously. 2 days later, I got an email. Subject line employment verification. Reference check. It was from a mid-size marketing firm, a company I'd actually interviewed with the month before. They were excited about his application and wanted to verify his employment history. Specifically, his claim that he'd been my social media manager for 3 years. I stared at the screen for a long moment, then laughed, not loudly, not bitterly. Just a quiet, exhausted laugh that came from realizing how deep the delusion went. I replied honestly. I want to be transparent. He has never been employed by me in any capacity. He does not manage my social media. He occasionally takes photos of food. That was it. No embellishment, no revenge, just the truth. He found out an hour later when they called his flip phone, the one his mom had finally bought him out of sheer exhaustion. The scream echoed through the apartment. You sabotaged me. I didn't even flinch. You lied on your application. I manage your social media. I don't have social media. That's because you told me not to. I advised you not to, I said evenly. Because you were paranoid about your exes. That's management. That's insecurity. He broke then. Real tears this time. Ugly ones. The kind that come when someone realizes the safety net is gone and the ground underneath is very solid and very cold. Why are you being so cruel? He asked, voice cracking. I'm not being cruel, I said quietly. I'm being honest. For 3 years I enabled your fantasy. I paid for it. I defended it. I protected it from reality. I'm done. So what, he snapped. You want me to be homeless? No, I said. I want you to be employed. Or move back in with your parents. Or figure it out like every other adult. You changed, he accused. I used to be a doormat, I replied. You complained about that too. Remember, Said, I was too accommodating. He had nothing to say to that. So he reached for the nuclear option. While I was in the other room, he logged into Facebook on the tablet and started messaging my mother. Long paragraphs. Dramatic language. Words like abuse, control, fear. My phone rang less than 5 minutes later. Is he okay? My mom asked gently. He's sending concerning messages. He's fine, I said. I just stopped paying for his phone. There was a pause. Oh, she said. Good for you. I smiled. Your father says you can crash here if you need to, she added. Also want me to block him. Maybe screenshot first, I said. Already did. The victim narrative unraveled quickly after that. That evening, our neighbor knocked on the door. He was holding a food delivery bag. He said he didn't have cash to tip, the neighbor said awkwardly. I handed the delivery guy the tip directly. He grabbed the sushi, slammed the door, and shouted from inside, I'm moving out. Okay, I said. When? As soon as I find a place. Cool, rent's due in a week. Your half is $900. I'm not paying rent if I'm moving out. Then you're moving out today. You can't evict me. You're not on the lease, I said calmly. You're a guest who overstayed. The sushi didn't taste very good after that. He didn't move out that day. Of course he didn't. Instead, he entered what I can only describe as a prolonged performance of victimhood stretched out over a week, punctuated by dramatic sighs, half-packed boxes, and constant complaints about how hostile the apartment felt now that I'd stopped cushioning him from reality. For 4 days, apartment hunting became his full-time job, which mostly meant scrolling listings on the tablet and rejecting every option for reasons that had nothing to do with affordability and everything to do with aesthetics. Too small, too dark, bad lighting, no good angles for content. Meanwhile, I started being spontaneous in ways that apparently made him deeply uncomfortable. I changed the Wi-Fi password before leaving for work. He had to walk to Starbucks to post anything. I rearranged the living room furniture while he was gone. He said it stressed him out. I stopped cooking our usual rotation of meals and made something different every night. Curry one evening, stir-fry the next. This is weird, he snapped one night, pushing his plate away. Why can't you just be normal? I thought you wanted spontaneous, I said. Not like this. So how, I asked, genuinely curious. What does spontaneous actually mean to you? He hesitated, then said it the truth he'd been dancing around for years. Surprise me with gifts. Trips. Romance. I nodded slowly. So you wanted me to spontaneously spend money on you, not spontaneously stop spending money on you. He threw the flip phone at me. It bounced off the wall and hit the floor. Those things are indestructible. 2 days later, his father called me. Not his mother, his father. The quiet one. The one who'd stayed out of it until now. What's the rent situation, he asked, voice tired. Your son owes $900, I said. Due in 2 days. Another pause, then a sigh. I'll pay this month, he said. But he's coming home after. Thank you, I replied. No, he said. Thank you. His mother enabled this. I'm done. When I hung up, something shifted in the apartment, like the air itself had finally decided whose side it was on. The packing started for real after that. Slow, dramatic, documented. Every item carefully photographed. Every box a chapter in his moving out journey posted from Starbucks Wi-Fi, while he spent $12 on coffee charged to his mother's emergency credit card. On the 6th day, he announced Kayla was coming over to help with a goodbye photo shoot. Outfit changes. Poses by the window. A single tear he kept trying to force out of his left eye. I need your phone for the ring light app, he told her. My battery's low. Then he turned to me. Can I borrow yours? That would have been unpredictable. But no, I said. The lighting stayed terrible. At noon on day 7, his father arrived with a U-Haul. No drama, no yelling, just quiet efficiency. Careful with that, he said nervously as his dad lifted a box. That's my ring light. You mean the ring light Sandra bought you last Christmas? His father asked. You're taking that? It was a gift. His father looked at me. I shrugged. It was a gift. He shook his head and kept loading. By 2 p.m., the last box was gone. He stood in the doorway, clearly waiting for something. A speech. A plea. A last-minute realization that I couldn't live without him. So this is it, he said. Looks like it. You're really going to let me leave. I'm not letting you do anything, I replied. You're choosing to leave. You ruined us, he said bitterly. I stopped paying for your phone, I said. Everything else was your reaction to that. You're going to regret this. Maybe, I said, but predictably I'll be able to afford therapy now. He tried to slam the door on his way out, but the soft close hinge gently whooshed it shut. I watched from the window as the U-Haul pulled away. He was in the passenger seat trying to take a selfie with the flip phone. Peace settled in almost immediately. The apartment felt different the moment the truck disappeared down the street. Quieter, yes, but more than that, lighter. Like something heavy had been dragged out along with the boxes. I didn't rush to clean or rearrange anything. I sat on the couch alone, letting the silence settle, realizing how long it had been since I'd been alone without feeling lonely. The fallout didn't wait long. That evening, his name started popping up again, not in my messages, but in places I hadn't expected. Instagram. He posted from his parents' house using their Wi-Fi. A carefully curated announcement about choosing himself, about starting over, about rising from the ashes. The caption was long poetic, full of vague references to surviving hardship and reclaiming power. At first, the comments were supportive. Then they weren't. One guy commented, "Wait, didn't you tell me last week you were single?" Another replied, "Same. You were flirting with me 2 days ago." Then screenshots appeared. DMs, timestamps, flirty messages sent while we were still together. Within 2 hours, his follower count dropped by 900. He texted me from the flip phone, "This is somehow your fault." I didn't respond. I blocked the number spontaneously. Later that night, his father texted me. She asked me to pay for a new iPhone. I laughed out loud. Then another message came through. "Thank you for your patience these past 3 years. You're a saint." I sat there, cereal bowl in my hands, Netflix playing, whatever I wanted on my single-screen plan, and felt something close to joy. Tuesday had always been soup night. I ate cereal instead. Predictable habits are comforting, but peace is freedom. My friend texted me, "You should have kicked him out months ago." He was right, but watching someone implode over a phone plan had been educational. I learned something important. When someone says you're boring, they usually mean you're no longer entertaining them. When they say you're not spontaneous, they mean you've stopped spontaneously spending money on them. The apartment felt bigger now. The internet, as it always does, kept chewing long after the meal was over. A few days after his follower count collapsed, he tried one last rebrand. His bio changed again. Entrepreneur, digital minimalist, Phoenix rising. The photos were softer now, dimmer lighting, quotes about healing, about boundaries, about choosing peace after abuse. The irony would have been funny if it hadn't been so predictable. He posted a TikTok about escaping financial abuse. It reached 132 views. The comments were not kind. Most of them were variations of the same sentence. Paying your own bills isn't abuse. He deleted it by morning. I didn't watch any of this in real time. That was the strangest part. I only found out later secondhand through screenshots friends sent me with captions like, "You okay? And did you see this?" I was fine. Better than fine. My apartment had become my space again. I rearranged it slowly, intentionally this time, not to provoke, not to prove a point, but because I could. I moved the couch, donated half the things he'd insisted we needed, opened windows, let air in. I kept the ring light. I didn't even mean to. I just never boxed it up. A week later, I used it for a Zoom call at work. My boss squinted at the screen and said, "You look very professional today." I smiled. Later that afternoon, a Venmo notification popped up. $50 from Robert. Therapy copay for dealing with my son. I kept it. That night, I cooked soup. Tuesday soup, predictable, familiar, mine. As I ate, I thought about how often I'd been told I was boring, how often I'd believed it, how much energy I'd spent trying to become more exciting for someone who mistook dependency for love and entitlement for romance. I wasn't boring. I was stable. And stability feels dull only to people who survive by chaos. I blocked his email the next day. Changed nothing else. No dramatic declarations. No closure speech. Just silence, the kind that doesn't punish, doesn't provoke, doesn't perform. The kind that heals. I sat on the couch that evening, Netflix playing in the background cereal bowl beside me. Even though it wasn't Tuesday anymore, the apartment felt bigger, quieter, safer.